Welcome to the Bedtime Sleep, where science becomes a lullaby and the universe tucks you in. Every night, we gently drift through the stars, your body at rest, your mind at ease, exploring the wonders of our world, one story at a time. Don't forget to subscribe for a new sleep science journey every evening. And leave your dreams and thoughts in the comments. We love to hear them. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let's float together into tonight's wonder. You rest in the quiet of your room, the world outside growing dim. Beneath your skin, in the soft silence of your chest, something continues. A heartbeat, a gentle thump that pulses not only with life, but with time. Time is not the ticking of a clock on the wall. It is the slow unraveling of moments inside you. Each breath a thread pulled from a tapestry. Each cell a keeper of memory, of change. Even as you lie still, your body moves. Aging, adapting, shifting like a tide. Inside your cells, tiny engines called mitochondria hum with quiet work. They have counted time since before you were born, spinning energy from food, tracing the arc of your life in their rhythm. Like the slow stretching of tree rings, your cells keep the record of your years. And yet, time is not simple. It does not always move at the same speed. Somewhere far above you, astronauts orbit Earth in the International Space Station. They live fast, 28,000 kilometers per hour fast. Yet time flows slower for them. Not enough to notice in a day, but just enough to matter in the universe's long breath. Einstein showed us that time bends. It stretches when you move faster. It deepens near massive things, like planets or black holes. Time is not a river that flows evenly. It's more like a soft fabric, tugged and twisted by speed and gravity. And you are woven into it. Even as you lie in bed, time passes slightly differently at your feet than at your head, because your head is farther from the Earth's center, and Earth's gravity tugs time more tightly below. It is such a tiny difference, trillions of a second over a lifetime. But still, it's there. You are a being of time, but you also carry its distortions, its ripples, its secrets. In your brain, memories don't line up in perfect order. Some stretch out, vivid and long, while others collapse into moments, flashes. The mind doesn't keep time like a clock. It keeps it like a song, with rhythm, feeling, and pause. Think of how a moment of joy can feel like forever, and how an hour of waiting can vanish when remembered. This is not a trick of perception. This is your mind's dance with time, bending it gently, the way light bends through glass. Outside, the stars look back at you, their light crossing eons just to meet your gaze. The glow from the Andromeda galaxy, for instance, has been traveling for over 2 million years to reach you tonight. So when you look at it, you are not seeing now, you are seeing then. Light, too, carries time on its back. And inside your very cells, there is another kind of clock, the biological one. It doesn't tick in seconds, but in cycles. Hormones rise and fall. Body temperature changes with the hour. Your sleep deepens, lightens, deepens again. It is the circadian rhythm, your body's private timekeeper, guiding you through days and nights, long before clocks ever existed. But even deeper still, within the twist of your DNA, there are signs of time written in tiny damage and repair. Your genes remember. Not with memory like you know it, but with scars, with markers, with gentle fraying over the years. Time writes itself into your very code. And yet, time isn't only something that happens to you. You affect it too. When you move, time responds. When you climb a mountain or plunge deep into the ocean, you feel the weight of Earth's pull shift, and with it, the tempo of time around you. But perhaps the most remarkable thing of all is that time can slow down inside you. Have you ever felt a moment stretch? A second that holds more than it should? This is not magic. This is the brain's deep awareness of change, of novelty, of danger, of awe. In these moments, the brain records more detail, and so when you look back, it feels longer. Time, in a way, thickens. You see, time isn't only physics. It's experience. It's not just seconds and minutes, but breaths and thoughts and feelings. You carry time in your bones, your blood, your memories. You are made of it, moved by it. And someday, you will return to it. As you lie still now, think of this. Your heart is ticking through a field of gravity. Your thoughts are stretching across the folds of your mind. And the space you occupy is part of a story being told by time. Outside your window, the stars shine with ancient light. They are markers not of distance, but of when. And you, wrapped in warmth and quiet, are not only resting. You are floating in a current you cannot see, drifting in time's deep river. But if time can bend, if it can slow and stretch, then what happens? When two opposites meet, when time, space, and energy collide, close your eyes, for the universe holds more than one rhythm. And somewhere in that silence is a twin to matter, waiting to touch, to vanish, to ignite. Let's follow that whisper into the mirror. You sleep, but your mind stirs gently, like leaves in a breeze. The soft current of time carries you further into the fabric of the universe. Last night, you traced the flow of seconds through your body, felt how time stretches and folds across space and memory. But tonight, something shifts. A mirror appears, and on the other side, everything is reversed. You see a particle, a simple one, perhaps a proton or an electron. It dances through space, small and steady. A grain of matter in a vast sea of dark. Now imagine its twin, not a copy, not quite, but its opposite. Same weight, same energy, but an opposite charge. A reflection, but one that undoes the original. This is antimatter, and it's been with the universe since the very beginning, when the cosmos was born, in that first blinding moment of creation. Matter and antimatter emerged side by side, like partners in a cosmic waltz. They danced, touched, and vanished. Whenever they met, they destroyed each other. In a flash of pure energy, a perfect silence turned to light. And yet, somehow, matter won. You won. You, your breath, your heartbeat, your planet. Everything you know is made of matter. But where did the antimatter go? No one knows for certain. Somewhere in those early seconds of the universe, the balance tipped. Ever so slightly. One extra particle of matter. For every billion pairs that vanished. Just enough for stars to form. For galaxies to spin. For life to take hold. You lie still now. But your thoughts drift to that great imbalance. Why are you here? And not your mirrored twin? Even now, in the quiet spaces between stars, antimatter still flickers into being, high above Earth. In the curling trails of cosmic rays, tiny bursts of antimatter appear, brief, beautiful, gone. And here on Earth, beneath layers of concrete and steel, scientists build machines that coax antimatter into existence. Particle accelerators smash atoms together at near light speed, teasing out positrons, antimatter cousins of electrons, and antiprotons, ghostly echoes of matter's form. But these particles are shy, delicate. The moment they touch regular matter, even air, they disappear in a flare of energy. Not smoke, not dust, just light, pure, quiet, intense. It is this, the annihilation, that makes antimatter so powerful. When matter and antimatter meet, they vanish completely. Nothing remains but energy. Imagine a fuel where every drop turns entirely into motion, with no waste, no ash, no flame. Just 1 gram of antimatter could power entire cities. A handful could send a ship to Mars. This is why some call it the rocket fuel of tomorrow. And yet, we can barely hold it. Antimatter slips through metal, fades on contact, disappears into nothing. To store it, we must use magnetic traps, vacuum tubes, and silent fields, like invisible jars made of force. You picture it now, a speck of antimatter, floating in total silence, tucked between magnetic fingers, a candle that can't touch its own flame. The universe is full of opposites, night and day, heat and cold, matter and antimatter. But rarely are opposites so perfect, so complete in their dance. And if opposites attract, what does it mean when they cancel? You drift deeper, your breath slow, your limbs soft, and somewhere, beyond the edges of what we can touch, is a world made entirely of antimatter, a mirror universe, where electrons are positrons, where protons are antiprotons, where time might still flow, but feel strangely reversed. What if, in that mirror, there is a version of you? Not evil, not broken, just reversed, just opposite. Would they dream as you do now? Would their atoms hum with the same rhythm? Or would they burn away the moment they touched your world? The thought floats with you. Light is mist. You are not alone in the universe. Not because of aliens or distant stars, but because, from the very first breath of existence, there has always been another side. Tonight, you are held between those sides, balanced like a coin on edge, made of matter, yet born from a universe that once held both. And as you breathe in, your mind begins to wonder, if antimatter gives off energy when it vanishes, then what happens when we learn to harness it? Could it power our dreams, our rockets, our future? Drift gently now. For tomorrow, we will chase this light and explore how something so fleeting might carry us across the stars. Your breath is slow, your body is still, but your thoughts drift like dust in a sunbeam, floating toward the great question. The universe never stops whispering. Where did the other half go? Last night, you learned of antimatter, the mirror twin of everything you are, born at the same moment as matter, equal in strength, opposite in charge, and perfectly poised to cancel the world. And yet, here you are. You are made of matter. So is the bed beneath you, the moon above, the trees beyond the windows. But where is the antimatter? Where is the rest of the universe? The laws of physics, those quiet rules that guide every atom. Tell us this. When the universe began, matter and antimatter should have been created in equal parts. For every electron, a positron. For every proton, an antiproton. And if that had happened perfectly, they would have met, embraced, and vanished. All of it. Everything. Gone in a flash of light. But it didn't happen that way. Somehow, some strange whisper of imbalance. Let matter win. Just barely. For every billion pairs of matter and antimatter, one lonely matter particle was left. One leftover piece. That tiny sliver became everything. You, the Earth, every planet, every star. The leftovers of a cosmic disappearing act. But no one knows why. No one knows how. Physicists call it symmetry breaking. When two perfect twins somehow fall out of step. When something deep in the universe's fabric chose a favorite. As you lie quietly now, your body at rest, your mind explores this question. What made the scale tip? What small, quiet asymmetry decided your existence? It may have happened in a fraction of a second. After the Big Bang. A tiny difference in the way particles decay, so small we can barely measure it. And yet, it changed everything. There are clues, hidden in the afterglow of the universe. The cosmic microwave background. A faint light that still lingers from the universe's first moments. Like the heat left in the room, long after a candle's flame has died. Scientists listen to this light, reading its ripples like a lullaby left behind by the beginning. and still no final answer. Perhaps somewhere in the dark, hidden in corners untouched by galaxies, there are clouds of antimatter, drifting silently through space. Perhaps entire antimatter galaxies exist on the far edge of what we can see, never touching us, never colliding, or perhaps it all vanished, canceled perfectly, except for that 1 in a billion spark that refused to go out. And if that's true, then your very existence is the result of a flaw, a small mistake in the symmetry that should have erased everything. But isn't that what makes it beautiful? The universe was nearly empty, nearly still, and yet here you are, your cells buzzing quietly with time, your thoughts folding gently around cosmic puzzles, your story unfolding in a world that almost never was. Even the name antimatter feels like an echo. Not evil, not wrong, just other, just the part we lost. And still, we search, we build great machines, like the Large Hadron Collider, beneath the Earth, smashing particles together at the edge of light speed, hoping that, in the debris, we'll glimpse what went wrong, what went right, what created everything we know, from almost nothing at all. And in doing so, we chase ghosts, the particles that once shared the universe with ours, but have long since disappeared. There is comfort in knowing that the universe does not always favor perfection, that imbalance can lead to beauty, that from near cancellation, a cosmos bloomed. Perhaps, in your own life, you felt this too. Those quiet turns where things didn't add up, where symmetry broke, where everything changed. Not everything must balance to make sense. Sometimes a tiny tilt makes a world. You lie still beneath a sky full of light, born from ancient collisions, and somewhere, in the glow of distant stars, the memory of antimatter lingers, not as presence, but as absence, a shape in the puzzle, not by what it gives, but by what it once was. And so the question remains, soft and steady in the back of your mind. If the universe kept matter and lost its twin, then what secrets lie in the meeting of the two? What happens when matter and antimatter touch again? Close your eyes now, for in your next breath, we'll follow that collision and watch what is born from total disappearance. You rest in the hush of night. The world is soft, still, quiet, as if waiting. And in the space between your breaths, you imagine a spark, not the kind you see in a fire, but something smaller, something deeper, a collision invisible to the naked eye, yet bright enough to echo through the universe. This is where we go tonight, to the moment when opposites meet, matter and antimatter, drawn together in a dance that ends in light. You drift downward beneath the surface of Earth, where the ground hides great circles of metal and magnets. These are the particle accelerators, machines so vast they form underground rings, so precise they split atoms into their most secret pieces. Inside them, particles fly, faster and faster, until they approach the speed of light. They spiral like whispers of storm winds, trapped in magnetic fields, waiting, and then they meet. Not gently, not quietly. They strike with purpose. And in that moment, matter and antimatter vanish together. What remains is not debris, not ash, not even dust, only energy. A perfect, radiant transformation. A burst of light that carries the entire weight of the vanished mass. This is called annihilation. But that word feels too heavy, too final. Because something is created here, not destruction, but release, a return to pure being. You are watching the most efficient process known in the universe. No waste, no smoke, no leftover fragments, just two particles, and then a flicker of brilliance. Imagine, now, that you could catch that flicker, not just watch it, but harness it, hold that energy, and use it to move, to light, to power. Because if you could capture that moment, the instant when matter and antimatter touch, you would have the most powerful fuel ever known. 1 gram of antimatter, meeting 1 gram of matter, would produce energy equal to the explosion of a nuclear bomb. Without the radiation, without the chain reaction, without the lingering ruin. Just light, just motion, just force. And though we create only flecks of antimatter today, the possibility lingers in every lab. The hope, the dream, that we might one day fly on this fuel. That rockets might hum through the void, not with flame, but with silence, driven by the most perfect collision. But it is delicate work. Antimatter does not like to stay. It resists containment, vanishes on contact, and must be cradled inside fields of magnetism and vacuum. In Geneva, at CERN, physicists craft magnetic bottles to hold tiny drops of antimatter. They build traps of light and force, as if trying to hold a sunbeam in their hands. It is like trying to catch a sigh, but they do it, bit by bit, atom by atom. Each time they succeed, a little more is understood, a little more is possible, and still you wonder, what would it mean to power a journey with such a collision? What would it feel like to glide through space on the energy of vanishing? Perhaps we don't need roaring engines. Perhaps we only need quiet annihilation. Perfect, contained, the spark of opposites letting go. And maybe that's not just physics. Maybe it's something else. Maybe this is what happens when opposites embrace, when they stop resisting and simply disappear into one another. Maybe it's not loss, but return. You lie there, body quiet, but mind wide open, watching particles kiss and vanish into light. And though you may never touch antimatter yourself, you carry the echoes of it. Every time light warms your skin, every time energy flows into movement, you are witnessing that ancient memory of conversion. Matter, transformed. The universe has always known how to make light from collision. Stars do it with fusion. Atoms do it with annihilation. You do it with thought. And in the spaces between things, between opposites, between questions, a new kind of power waits. Now, as sleep draws near, you turn your mind gently toward what comes next. We've seen the beauty of collision. But what happens when we try to hold it? When we try to bottle that moment? Keep that energy. Carry it with us? Tomorrow, we drift deeper into that question, into the art and science of holding a star in your hand. Sleep deepens. Your body is still, but your thoughts begin to orbit, circling softly around the impossible. Last night, you watched two opposites collide. Matter met antimatter, and in their final breath, they gave birth to pure energy, a silent burst of light. But what if you didn't let them vanish? What if you could pause the moment, capture the tension just before they touch? Tonight, you drift into that question. You dream of a bottle, not made of glass or steel, but of magnets, vacuum, and care. Because antimatter cannot be held, not like water, not like fire. It is a whisper that vanishes the moment it feels your breath. It disappears when it touches anything made of matter, which means everything around you. Even air is too much. So to store it, scientists must build traps with no walls, fields that float, invisible and silent, crafted with precision beyond what your hands can feel. Imagine a room, emptier than anything on Earth, a vacuum more perfect than space itself. Now imagine a single particle, a positron perhaps, spinning quietly in that emptiness, kept from the walls by curling magnetic fields. That is how we hold antimatter, with balance, with stillness, with care. You float beside it in your thoughts, watching the way it moves, not touching, only dancing between the forces that guide it. There's beauty in this fragility, in the fact that we can catch something so elusive, so eager to vanish. In Switzerland at CERN, the antimatter factory hums softly beneath the ground. Here, scientists slow down antiprotons, coaxing them into stillness. trapping them in electromagnetic bottles, just long enough to study, just long enough to dream. For a fraction of a second, they exist, untouched, unburned, and sometimes they even form atoms. Antihydrogen, a ghostly cousin of the simplest element, held not by hands, but by patience. It's like growing a star from invisible seeds. You picture this: a single atom of antimatter, glowing gently in a vacuum, a pearl of the future, resting on nothing, not dangerous, not explosive, not yet, just waiting. The goal is not destruction, it's containment. Because if we can hold antimatter, if we can learn to bottle a star, we can use its energy, not in chaos, but in purpose. One day, perhaps, ships will glide across the solar system, powered by steady releases of this bottled brilliance. Each collision, a gentle push. No flame, no smoke, only light. The silence of antimatter propulsion would sound like sleep, a hum, a breath, a drift through stars. And yet, it's not easy. We can't yet make much. Each particle takes effort, millions of dollars, years of research, and still it vanishes, after only moments. But we keep trying, because to hold antimatter is to touch the edges of possibility. It's to say, we see what the universe made, and we're learning to hold it gently. You, too, have tried to hold powerful things, emotions, memories, ideas that shimmer just out of reach. And like antimatter, some vanish when you try to grasp them too tightly. But if you are still, if you build the right kind of space, quiet, open, balanced, you can keep them for a little while. Antimatter is a lesson in care, in patience, in the space between touch and release. And in this way, science becomes something like meditation. You don't always need to change the world with fire. Sometimes, the gentlest bottle holds the brightest light. Now, imagine again that jar of emptiness, that floating pearl of reverse reality. It hums with energy, but it waits, not to vanish, but to become. As your breath slows, you wonder what comes next. If we can bottle a star, what could we do with it? How far could it take us? Could this quiet fuel carry us beyond the moon, beyond Mars, beyond even time itself? Tomorrow, we set course for distant worlds, not in dreams, but in possibility. We will ask how this bottled brilliance might one day carry us from here to there. You rest in the glow of imagination, carried gently by the quiet hum of thought. Outside, the world sleeps. Inside, a question flickers. What if fire isn't the future? You've known fuel your whole life. Wood in a campfire, gasoline in a car, rocket fuel that roars and shudders as it leaves Earth behind. They all burn. They all devour. They leave behind smoke, ash, and noise. But antimatter, the soft light you learn to bottle, asks for no oxygen, no flame. It asks only to meet its match. When a particle of antimatter meets matter, they vanish. Yes, but they do not disappear into nothing. They become energy, complete, clean, final, no residue, no leftover heat, no sound, even, only photons. Packets of light, carrying the full story of two particles that once were. This is a fuel without flame, and that changes everything. Imagine a rocket not pushed by explosions, but by precision, a controlled release of energy, in bursts of silent light, each burst moving the ship forward, each second unfolding with balance, not chaos. You are floating now in that idea, a ship gliding through space, not roaring like thunder, but humming like thought. Its engine isn't a firebox. It's a cradle for collisions. Antimatter meets matter, and the light it releases moves the vessel forward. Just light, just motion, just stillness becoming speed. This is not science fiction. It's a possibility that scientists study, in quiet laboratories, in careful designs, antimatter propulsion. Not tomorrow, maybe not next decade, but someday, and when it comes, it will carry us farther, because this fuel is not only efficient, it is powerful. 1 gram of antimatter could produce as much energy as a full shuttle tank of traditional fuel. That means less mass, less weight, more distance. It means astronauts could travel, not in years, but in weeks, to Mars, to the moons of Jupiter, maybe, eventually, to the stars. And the engine wouldn't rumble, it wouldn't roar, it would hum, like a lullaby sung by the universe itself. You picture it now, a vessel resting against the dark, pushed forward by the briefest touches of disappearing particles, like wind on water, like thought into motion. There's beauty in this kind of travel, not just in where it could take us, but in how it would feel to fly without burning, to go forward by letting go, because this fuel doesn't build up, it releases. Two opposites meet and vanish into light. And perhaps, in your own life, you felt that too. Moments when resistance fades, when opposites embrace, and something new begins, not from force, but from surrender. Antimatter is the quietest kind of power, the most complete kind of motion, the most perfect kind of end. That becomes a beginning. Even now, your body carries energy from old collisions. The food you eat, the air you breathe, the thoughts you think, are all transformations, one form becoming another. Nothing is wasted. Everything changes. And so, in this idea of fuel without flame, you find something peaceful, something calm, not destruction, but return. It asks us to trust. That silence can move things. That stillness can carry weight. That a single spark, if pure enough, can carry a ship across the void. Sleep takes you gently by the hand. The stars overhead feel closer now, not unreachable, not distant, but waiting. Because if we learn to carry this fuel, to guide its light, to hold its power, then the universe may open, like a door, just beginning to swing wide. And so you rest now, on the edge of that door, the handle warm with possibility. You've seen the power of collision. You've learned to hold what vanishes. Now, close your eyes and dream of distance. For next, we drift into the vastness and ask how far this light can take us. You rest, still and weightless, but your thoughts begin to move, slow and wide, like the curve of a planet turning. Tonight, you go farther, beyond clouds, beyond air, beyond even the tug of Earth's gravity, out, past the dust-red whisper of Mars. The ship you drift in is not made of thunder. It is not loud. It does not burn. It hums quietly, powered by the gentle spark of vanishing. Matter meets antimatter. Energy is born, and motion begins. No flame, no roar, just motion. You feel it like a slow breath, a steady glide, as if space itself gently unfolds to make room for your passing. Below you, Earth, a pale blue circle wrapped in thin clouds, spinning slowly. In its familiar rhythm, you remember its scent, its winds, its pull. But up here, there is no wind, no sound, only the quiet hum of energy, becoming direction. Mars drifts past, its surface rough and rusted, mountains that rise higher than Earth's sky, valleys wide enough to swallow continents, a world once alive with water, now still, watching you move on. You are not here to land, not yet. You are passing through, a traveler, watching from the edge, because the ship you travel in was built for farther. Its engine, small, efficient, powered by invisible collisions, does not rush, it glides, and gliding is enough. You feel it in your bones now. This rhythm of travel, not step by step, not wheel by wheel, but breath by breath, as if thought alone could carry you forward. And perhaps it does, for in space, momentum is sacred. Once something moves, it keeps moving. Unless touched, there is no resistance, no drag, no friction to slow you down. And so your ship, gently nudged by tiny, perfect sparks, drifts onward, across an ocean of stars. You are not alone here. Particles dance around you, remnants of ancient stars, waves from faraway suns. Some of them are neutrinos, ghost particles that pass through entire planets. Without stopping, billions pass through your body every second. Unseen, unfelt, and still, you move. The energy of your motion comes from those precise moments where a particle and its mirror twin touch and vanish, leaving light behind. 1,000 tiny whispers, becoming one great push. It is a new way to travel, not by pushing against the earth, but by using the universe's oldest truth. Everything that exists can become something else. The stars understand this. They live and die by fusion and flare. Your ship understands it too. And now, so do you. Mars shrinks behind you, a rusted ember in the dark. Ahead, Jupiter, a giant eye in the night, wrapped in storms, older than human memory. You are not moving fast, by Earth's standards, but you are moving cleanly, quietly, endlessly. And as you pass through this deepness, you begin to understand something else. This journey isn't just about distance. It's about patience. Because to move with antimatter is to move with intention. Each burst of energy must be held, guided, released in balance. It is not a race. It is a drift, a letting go, a trusting that motion will carry you where you are meant to be. There is no road here, no trail, only stars and silence and the soft hum of what once was, becoming what now is. You rest inside the ship's cocoon. Its systems whisper around you, tiny pulses of power, gentle corrections, soft adjustments. You are not steering. You are floating, guided by design and by the slow unfolding of the universe. This is not escape. This is return to a deeper rhythm, to a quieter kind of knowing. Outside your window, moons drift by. Icy spheres that glitter in the dark. Waiting, you wonder, if we can go this far, how much farther could we go? Past Saturn, past the edge of sunlight, toward stars whose light left long before Earth was born. Antimatter makes this possible, not because it is powerful, but because it is precise. Not because it rushes, but because it endures. Like you, like thought, like time itself. Now you drift deeper into rest. Let your thoughts slow. Let your breath match the pace of distant orbits. You've passed Mars. You've stepped into the quiet. And now, a new horizon rises in your mind. If we can glide across space, on the quietest kind of energy, could we also reshape what energy means on Earth? Could this same whisper of power light cities, heal systems, change everything? Let sleep take you now. For tomorrow, we return to Earth and ask, can a fuel born in silence transform the noise of home? You sleep in starlight, but slowly, softly, you begin to turn back toward home. The hum of your journey fades into memory. The gentle drift beyond Mars. The silence between collisions. The whisper of antimatter touching matter and releasing light. Now, you descend, not with fire, not with noise, but with thought. You've seen the fuel that doesn't burn. You've floated on the quietest energy the universe allows. And tonight, you wonder, can we bring that peace back to Earth? Our world spins with need. Lights blink in cities that never sleep. Engines growl. Power lines hum. Machines breathe heat into the sky. We chase energy in every corner of the world, digging, burning, boiling, always trading cost for movement, smoke for light. But what if we didn't? What if we had? A quieter answer? You felt it now. A single collision. One fleck of antimatter meeting its twin. Not a fire, but a release. A perfect disappearance that leaves behind only motion and light. Clean, complete, final. You wonder what it would mean to build cities on that principle. Not roaring with need, but glowing with balance. But there are challenges. To use antimatter on Earth, we must first make it, and that is not easy. In deep underground labs, machines hurl particles into one another, hoping that in the aftermath, a trace of antimatter will appear. And sometimes, for a fraction of a second, it does. But the cost is high. It takes more energy to make antimatter than we get from using it. Still, we try. Not because it's easy, but because it might one day become simple. Science grows this way, in slow spirals of learning, in questions that last decades. Right now, we make nanograms. Invisible amounts, barely enough to study, nowhere near enough to light a home or move a ship. But the principle remains. Perfect conversion, nothing wasted, a world powered by disappearing opposites. And even if we never store it in cities, the idea changes us. It shows us that power doesn't have to shout, that light can come from balance, that fuel doesn't have to leave scars. And maybe that's the lesson we bring back, not just the science, but the rhythm. You imagine a future city, not one paved in smoke, but in stillness. Its power stations hum quietly, designed not to conquer nature, but to echo it, to catch fleeting energy, and give it form. Children grow up never seeing clouds of soot or hearing the bark of diesel engines. They grow up hearing a softer world, a world shaped by understanding, not force. This is not far away. You realize it begins in our questions, in labs, in classrooms, in the way we teach ourselves to look closely at what's possible. Antimatter may be rare, but the dream it carries, a dream of quiet motion, is already here. It reminds us to ask different questions, not just how much energy can we make, but how gently can we move? Not just what can we burn to go faster, but what can we release to go farther? You are breathing now in this rhythm. Slow, soft, even. The same rhythm that moves particles around a magnetic trap. The same rhythm that holds antimatter in place, just long enough to study its light. Perhaps Earth doesn't need more speed. Perhaps it needs more stillness, more patience, more ways to move that begin with wonder. Antimatter shows us that the greatest force can come from the smallest meeting, that vanishing can become motion, that opposites can create light. You lie in bed, but your mind is glowing because now you know. There is a different kind of power. It doesn't rise in smoke. It doesn't shake the ground. It hums like your breath. It glows like memory. It begins in understanding. Outside your window, the world still spins with all its engines, all its wires, but you carry something else now, a quiet vision, a different future. And as your eyes drift closed, you prepare to dream not of machines, but of minds, of how understanding can build a quieter world. Because the next step is not fuel, it's thought. Tomorrow, you will drift into the heart of this dream and ask, if our minds can imagine this much, what else might they become? You lie still, but deep inside, something moves. Not your arms, not your breath, but your thoughts. They flicker, curl, leap quietly from one to another, like sparks across distant stars. And now you wonder, what fuels them? What gives rise to this gentle river of images, feelings, memories, and questions? You've seen engines of power, from roaring rockets to silent antimatter traps. But now your journey turns inward, to the mind itself, the quietest engine you've ever known. Close your eyes, and you'll begin to hear it. Beneath the silence of night, beneath your skin, your brain glows faintly, not in light, but in energy. Whispers of electricity, rushing along networks of living wires. Every thought, every memory, every word you silently rehearse is powered by a signal, a tiny wave of charge, jumping from one cell to another. They are called neurons, and there are billions of them, each one a thread in the fabric of your inner universe. Their connections are not fixed. They shift, bend, reweave themselves with every experience, every dream. This is called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, not just grow, but reform. Imagine a forest where the paths rearrange themselves each time you walk through. Imagine a city where roads bloom behind you as you move. That is your brain. Each new idea makes a mark. Each quiet question plants a seed that grows into understanding. Your thoughts shape the very structure of the thing that thinks them. It is a loop of creation, like a ship building itself as it sails. And all of this requires energy, but not fire, not fuel, just the soft exchange of ions. The tiniest electrical shifts, powered by the food you eat, the air you breathe, the rest you take. Your mind runs on the smallest currency, microscopic motion, subtle charges, quiet chemistry. You are an electrical being, made of biology and thought. And just like antimatter, each signal that leaps from one neuron to another is a kind of meeting, a bridge, a motion born from near nothing. You are not powered by explosions. You are powered by balance, by the steady rhythm of what enters and exits your cells. Your body burns calories, yes, but your mind transforms them into meaning. And in that transformation, a kind of light is born, the light of imagination, the soft glow of memory, the slow unfolding of insight. You felt it, that quiet click, when something makes sense, when the world inside mirrors the world outside, just enough to feel complete. And now, you begin to see the link. Antimatter collisions, neural connections, both silent, both powerful, both invisible engines that turn energy into motion, light into movement, disappearance into direction. You've traveled through space, but the greatest journey was already happening within your own mind. For it was your mind that imagined the ship, your mind that understood antimatter, your mind that shaped the questions which carried you forward. And just as you've seen the future of fuel and particles that vanish, you see the future of growth and minds that change. This, too, is energy. This, too, is propulsion, because every new understanding moves you, not through space, but through possibility. The brain doesn't just receive the world. It remakes it, interprets it, turns it into something meaningful. And perhaps that is the most powerful engine of all. Not rockets, not fuel, but minds. Minds that imagine quieter cities. Minds that learn to harness light without fire. Minds that build laboratories, craft questions, and wait patiently for answers, as delicate as a single positron's dance. So tonight, as you rest beneath stars you can't see, with neurons still firing gently behind your closed eyes, remember, you are not still. You are learning, changing, becoming. Each night of rest, each dream you drift through, make small changes, in the forest of your thoughts. And from that forest, ideas bloom, solutions take root, visions form, and the engines of tomorrow may begin as a single, silent spark. Inside your mind tonight, you drift deeper now, floating not on antimatter, but on awareness, and in the distance, something new calls softly. If thoughts can move the mind, and minds can move the world, what else might we become when our energy is guided by wonder? Let yourself fall gently into that question, for in the final chapter, we'll follow that path to its quiet edge, to the place where energy becomes awe, and the universe starts again inside you. You lie in darkness, but you are not alone. Around you, within you, energy hums quietly, not the roar of machines, not the blaze of stars, but the steady warmth of being alive. Tonight is not about moving forward. Tonight is about stillness, a resting place after long travel, a breath before the next becoming. You followed the thread of energy through particles and engines, through silent fuel and drifting minds. You've seen collisions birth light. You felt your own thoughts ripple through your brain like soft pulses of electricity in a sleeping storm. Now, you ask something simpler, something older. What is it all for? What is the point of light without eyes to see it? What is motion without meaning? What is energy without awe? In the beginning, before antimatter, before fusion, before planets, there was only a strange quiet, the kind of quiet that holds everything before it is born. Then came energy, then came form, and eventually awareness, not just the ability to move, but the ability to marvel, to look at a star and feel small and safe and curious, to gaze into a particle's path and whisper, how? This is awe, not noise, not fear, but reverence for the elegance of what is. And awe, like energy, moves us, not through space, but through depth. Awe slows you down, makes you listen, opens your chest, until it feels like you are not just seeing the universe, but being seen by it. It is not a force in equations, but it moves civilizations. It is awe that built telescopes, awe that sent rovers to Mars, awe that drove you to listen tonight, to wonder how antimatter works, to ask what else might be. And so here, at the end of your journey, you realize energy becomes awe when it enters your heart, not just your muscles, not just your engines, but the part of you that marvels, the part that watches a leaf fall and thinks of gravity, the part that sees your breath and imagines molecules spinning quietly in warmth. You have that part. It's always been there. It's the place where questions live, even the ones without answers, maybe especially those. You've learned about fuels that don't burn, ships that move in silence, brains that reshape themselves through thought. You've seen how even vanishing can be useful, how destruction can create motion, how stillness can glow. And now you let it all settle, not as facts, but as feeling. You are not separate from the science. You are made of it. Your atoms were forged in stars. Your breath is part of Earth's cycles. Your thoughts ride on waves of molecular charge, just as galaxies ride on curves of space. You are an equation, written in stardust and soft in tension. And that understanding is awe. You don't have to do anything with it. Not tonight. Just let it rest beside you. Like a warm blanket, let it soften your breath. Let it carry you gently into sleep. For this is the last chapter of this journey, not the end of learning, but the pause before a new beginning. You lie in the dark, glowing softly with all you now know. That matter can vanish into energy, that engines can hum instead of roar, that minds can shape themselves with thought, that power can live in stillness, that you, just as you are part of it all. The rocket fuel of tomorrow is not just trapped in labs or hidden in particles. It is here, in your quiet understanding, in the way your heart slows, when the universe feels near. So close your eyes. Let sleep come, not to forget, but to carry forward everything you've gathered. Light, silence, motion, awe, and in the morning, when you wake, remember gently, you are energy, becoming wonder, all over again. Tonight is not for asking, not for explaining, not even for wondering. Tonight is only for being. You've traveled so far, through the deepest particles, across quiet engines, into the folds of your own mind. You've lit the dark with the soft fire of curiosity, gathered each answer like a lantern. And now, you let them dim, not because they are gone, but because you no longer need to hold them so tightly. You are full, and sleep comes, not to erase what you've learned, but to cradle it. Imagine now a night sky, with no names, no charts, no coordinates, no math, just stars, breathing, blinking, being. You float there, not in a ship, not in a body, but in the space between things. You are the pause, between the spark and the motion, between the idea and the word. You are the sleep, between stars. And in this sleep, you find what you weren't looking for. Not answers, but peace. The energy you once chased, through antimatter and light, now rests inside you. You carry it, not like a burden, but like a rhythm. It pulses quietly, like a heartbeat beneath thought. Your breath is slower now, your body heavier. You feel yourself sinking into something safe, the way the ocean holds a stone, the way space holds a drifting ship. You are weightless, timeless, and still. There is no rush anymore. No need to know, no need to move. You've seen the engines of the future, and the light of annihilation. You've seen neurons fire, and planets pass. You felt awe, not as a thrill, but as a soft hand, resting on your shoulder. And now, in this final moment, you ask nothing. You simply return to the silence that began it all. The silence before the stars, before time, before thought. The silence that is not empty, but full of sleep, of softness, of slow becoming. Let yourself sink now, beyond sound, beyond sight, into the quiet that waits, beneath every answer. Let each part of you drift apart, like molecules, finding space to breathe. There is nothing to hold, nothing to do, only this, the hum of stillness, the gravity of rest, the kindness of sleep. The story is not over, but for now, you don't need to tell it. You are the pause that makes the next line possible. You are the space into which dreams will fall. Let them come. Let them carry you into their quiet tides. And if you remember nothing else from this journey, let it be this. You are made of light and breath and thought, and all three are allowed to rest. So sleep now, starborn traveler. Sleep until the next question rises, until curiosity stirs again, until morning returns with its soft invitation to begin. For now, just be the sleep between stars. The night has been long, but it was not empty. It was filled with drifting thoughts, with quiet energy, with the soft unraveling of knowledge, into peace. And now, in the hush before waking, something stirs, not loudly, not suddenly, but gently. Like dawn spilling over a sleeping ocean, you begin to return, but you're not the same. The atoms that hummed inside you before are still humming, the cells still breathing, the neurons still whispering in their web of meaning, but something inside has shifted. You carry the memory of silence, the feel of fuel that doesn't burn, the weightless flight past Mars, the engine built from thought, the sleep between stars. And as you drift toward waking, you begin to sense what all of it was really pointing toward. You, who can dream of distant planets while lying still beneath a ceiling. You, who can imagine futures where energy flows like breath. You, who are made of dust, but dream in light. When you open your eyes, you will still be bound to Earth, with its roads and clocks, its gravity and noise. But somewhere deeper, you will remember the rhythm of the quiet universe that unfolded behind your eyelids. You will move through your morning, carrying a little more stillness, a little more patience, a little more of the vast. Because every night you sleep, your mind does not shut down now. It travels through memories, through questions, through the gentle retelling of what you've learned and loved. Your brain rewires, rebalances, restores. It reshapes its forest of thought. And in that reshaping, you change too. So when you wake, not all at once, but gradually, you'll do so as someone new, not someone different, but someone deepened. Because this journey wasn't just about science. It was about seeing how everything connects, how energy flows not just in rockets, but in breath, not just in particles, but in patience. You'll remember that awe is a kind of understanding, and that understanding is a kind of love. Love for how things move, how they vanish, how they return. Outside your window, the sun will rise, birds will stretch their wings, leaves will breathe in light, and none of them will know what antimatter is or how time dilates near the edge of a black hole. But you will. You'll carry those truths quietly, not as trophies, but as warmth. You'll understand that the universe does not need to shout to be heard. It speaks in pulses, in gravity, in the silent bond between opposites. And you were made to listen, made to wonder. So sleep a few more minutes. There is no rush. The questions will still be there. And when you're ready, you'll meet them again, with eyes that remember the stars, with hands that know the gentleness of power. And when you finally rise, stretching into your morning, you'll feel something rare and real. That the universe is not something you study. It is something you are part of. It flows through your breath. It lives in your cells. It opens every time you close your eyes and drift into the quiet where energy becomes awe. So now, one last breath in stillness, one last moment in the dark. And then, when you wake, the universe knows you. And now, dear listener, you've returned from the stars, not as a visitor, but as something shaped by their silence. You've drifted across fuel-less flight, through thought-made engines, into the sleep between stars, and awakened to yourself. You carry the story now, not on paper, but in breath, in the space between moments, in the hush that follows wonder. Remember this as you rise. You are not small. You are made of everything you've just imagined. Of atoms that remember fire, of thoughts that ripple like galaxies, of stillness that moves the world. This journey was never only science. It was you, seeing yourself clearly in the mirror of the cosmos. Thank you for listening, for breathing through it slowly, for drifting with us on this quiet tide of curiosity. If you felt something tonight, a question, a comfort, a whisper you can't quite name, let it rest beside you. And if your eyes grow heavy again, know that we'll be here in the next story, the next wonder, the next night. This is the Bedtime Sleep, and we'll dream again tomorrow. Good night, and sleep well.